Patriots, baby.
The Inky Man.
And he's on the door. And he's on the door.
It is real.
And he's on the door. And he's on the door.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Happy Monday, you suckers. It's your boy. So today is Motivation Monday. And I'm going to use a book that I downloaded on Amazon. First, let me just say this. I looked at Drink Champs. Drink Champs had Jay Prince, the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records, on it. It was about a good 3.5 hours worth of video. And he talked about his experiences and things like that. Now, let me break this down. Jay Prince is the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records. But his son, Jazz Prince, discovered Drake. Jay Prince started Rap-A-Lot Records, which was home to the Ghetto Boys. And turns out he also had something to do with the Underground Kings. A few other artists. I should have wrote it down, but that's really not the point. The point is, within that particular show, he talked about a book that he put out called Respect. So, given that this man is a mogul, now this man, I'm talking about a mogul in a high sense. He has a 1,000-acre ranch. He has mad cars. He has the record label. He's been in boxing. That was another thing. He discovered, he signed Floyd Mayweather. And a brother named Diego Corrales, think so too. He was dealing with Roy Jones. Almost set up the Roy Jones-Mike Tyson fight back before it actually happened years ago when they were both at their peak. So the man is a visionary. And so I decided, well, let me go ahead and get a copy of this book because I want to know what it is that he was thinking, what made him tick, so on and so forth, for him to do that, because I'm on that. I'm on some local stuff, man, and I want to learn how to be a serial entrepreneur such as this man. So I went ahead and I got a copy of the book. And what I realized is that there's parts in that book that I could use as Motivation Monday. So I'm going to point out 2 phrases that he used, and I'm going to build on those and then we'll wrap it up. The first one was, fortune favors the bold. Now, basically what I got out of that was, in order to make a fortune, you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to not be scared to do certain things. Usually when you have a hunch to want to do something, that hunch is giving you a clear indication that you can do it. But it's because of different things that we are conditioned by, such as school, parents, other people who are not doing it, people who are doing whatever it is that we're choosing to talk about or do. We end up not doing whatever the case may be, and then we get upset. Now, at least let me speak for myself, but I think that there are many people who can relate to this. I have thought of things, whether it's designing a musical track or coming up with a way to do some kind of musical clothing or something like that, and I didn't do it because I listened to somebody else who, as Jay-Z once said, if you ever caught this in an interview, he once said, they're telling you what they won't do. That's what it's all about. And if you succumb to that, you're just falling into them, but they're not you. You know, they may not know what you know. They may not have the tenacity and the drive that you have, and you're allowing them, because they have said that they've done it or whatever the case may be, you've allowed them to talk you out of it. I actually had somebody talk me out of doing art and I used to draw a lot. They talked me out of doing art because they said I should concentrate more on the music since I was so heavy on that. And I took this person's word because this person was a skilled artist. Back when people were drawing and stuff, this brother was skilled, and he got to the point where he was doing murals for people, and he was doing graphic design. So I allowed him to, and I'm not clowning the guy. Let me get that straight. He was only giving me what he felt I should do. But as opposed to me listening to what he's saying and just letting it fall on deaf ears or taking it for what it was worth, I literally did start to concentrate more on the music. Alright, and then as time went on, I started to see that things I used to do, people are doing, you know. So, for example, when my homegirl Lolita had reached out to me to do a denim jacket for her daughter, when I started to do it, I started to get nervous because it had been a long time since I did a jacket. So, but I ended up doing it, and when I did, it was success. And in the process of me doing the jacket, I was taking pictures, and I was making videos and all of that stuff of me doing it. And then all of a sudden, people, yo, I need a jacket for my son. I need one for my daughter. I need, you know. And I felt indifferent about that. Like, these people were actually wanting my artwork, and I started to doubt myself and all that stuff. And in some cases, I got to the post late, or I just didn't regard them at all. Big shout to Lolita, and a big shout to Jennifer Hilgen. That's not her name now, but you know who you are. I'm gonna tag you on here. So they were people that wanted me to do jackets for them. Jennifer wanted me to do a jacket for her daughter, and I did it, which was in the show. And then she told me, because she's a friend of Bobby Brown's, not Bobby Brown, she's a friend of Mike Bivens. She said, you should do a jacket for Mike Bivens. And I thought to myself, good idea, but I don't know him like that. You know what I mean? It didn't click in my mind, well, maybe I should have her introduce me or anything like that. I just immediately just shut that whole thing down. And for all I know, I could have done that jacket. He could have wore that jacket, because we're both Patriots fans. He could have wore that jacket, and my career could have just took off from there. Not to say that I can't still do it. Jen, not that I can't still do it, but you know, these are the things that stop me. So fortune favoring the bold means get out your comfort zone, be bold, make something happen. One thing I got out of this book for sure was this man was somebody who took chances and did things that he felt, because he has a strong faith in God. He felt that what God had planned for him, nobody can mess that plan up. So if it took him to do some bold stuff where people felt he was crazy, at the end of the day, he still came out on top in that particular situation. So that was one of the things that he said. The second one was, a wise man is quick to listen and slow to speak. I remember when I did sales, and there was a saying that there's a reason why you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And I think that's a very strong statement, because to go back to him, one of the things he says is he has a very good judgment of character and he has discernment. And so he said that if he meets somebody, he can tell how they get down and how they get moved within 30 seconds of meeting them. And I believe that. I do believe that, because sometimes you will just run your mouth. You will run your mouth. And I think a lot of times that's because people are nervous. Sometimes people just don't want to look like failures, or they want to be higher than they are, which is what social media is all about. They want to be seen as something that they're not. They just want the perception that they know what they're talking about, that they do what they don't do, just because you're seeing them in a certain light. You know, you see them with some expensive clothes, not realizing they spent 2 checks on that one outfit that you're looking at, and they're just taking pictures everywhere they can. You know, sidebar to kind of fill in on that. Tiffany Haddish has a dress that she bought, and it's a white dress that she bought, and she said she spent so much money on it that you will see her in that white dress all the time. Look that up. Look that up. Tell me if you know anything about that. But that goes along with what I'm saying. Now, she's not an example of that. This is a successful woman. But all I'm saying is, when she said that, I realized, actually, it was like Dave Letterman had a show, and she was being interviewed on it, and she wore the dress on that, and she said that same statement, and pointed out the times that you could catch her in that dress. Okay? But anyway, to go back to the wise man listening, one of the jobs I had was appointment setting, and the problem that, so let's put it this way, the job was to set up appointments for salesmen to go out and sell this particular product. Our job was to set up the appointment so well that the salesman was able to go into the place and sell the product. If they had to use a little bit of their sales tactics, that was good, because they were supposed to be that good of salesmen. But if we had set them up properly, then we could make something happen. And this is where I learned sales from. So in the beginning, I struggled with that, because as soon as I called somebody, we're cold calling these lists. As soon as I would call somebody, as soon as they said they didn't want it, my thing was, okay, well, they don't want it. You know what I mean? But that was how you can get fired in that job, because that's not why we're calling them. We're calling them to make them want it. We're calling them so that they feel like this is something that they need and should have, so that they can be where they need to be. All right. Now, why am I telling you that? Because a man who is going to be tagged down below taught us that if you just shut up and listen, okay, guide the conversation where the person thinks that the idea is theirs. You know, you ask them questions like, for example, hello, this is Kevin. I'm calling about such and such. I'm going to have a guy come out there on Friday. I just wanted to make sure that your address is such and such, such and such. Okay, this is the guy. All right, this guy is going to be coming. I was thinking about having him come at like 8 o'clock, so on and so forth. If you spoke with confidence, you were able to make those appointments. Now, at the end of the day, it was up to the salesman and the people themselves to buy it. But this is what was the majority of the people. They're calling. It's like, hello, this is such and such from such and such. Oh, fuck off. Get out of here. Stop. Hanging up the phone. Actually, not hanging up the phone. I'll get into that. Some people would hang up the phone. Those are considered the smart people. But, and I'll say why that is in a minute. But the point was that, as opposed to when they were given objections, if you weren't strong enough to get them to just go ahead and let the appointment be done, you know, where you're guiding through, this guy's coming at this time, blah, 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 go ahead and grab a pen. I want you to write down the information so when he comes, you can expect him, blah, 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 blah. Well, our thing was, 80% of the people's thing was, once the owner started cursing us out, I don't want it, you guys call us all the time, blah, 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 we would just give up. So the pressure was, you got these names that you're calling. Somebody probably called these people already. So the first thing they're going to use is, you done called already, stop calling me, take me off the list, this, that, and the third. Let's go to the listening part. So what this person pointed out was that if they gave an objection and you just shut up, they're going to give you the reason you can flip it to have someone come in. And this is where the smart person that hangs up, you're smart if you hang up the phone. So if I'm calling you and I'm trying to set something up, the smart thing for you to do is just hang up. But if you're still on the phone and I'm pitching to you and I'm pitching, I don't want it, I don't need it, I don't want it, screw off, fuck you, this is bullshit. Yeah, because we was calling foreigners and everything too. But they're still on the phone. Then you're not saying something that they want to hear. But if you listen to them and they're saying things like, well, I don't want it because, you know, it's like, well, why not? Because I can't afford it. Okay, well, we have plans that can make that happen. Or, I'm not open on Tuesday. You're still on the phone. Okay, well then, as opposed to them coming on Tuesday, we'll have them come out on Wednesday because they're gonna probably leave like Friday, something like that. So the point of that is, if you listen to people, and this is why I love this guy, man. I love this guy because what he said is we weren't telemarketers, we're professional communicators. And the thing is, most people do not communicate. It's always majority of the time, it's a one-sided conversation. Somebody just spewing shit at you, and you not really adding on to it, or you might add a little bit onto it because you may or may not really be interested. Things like that. But what we learned was they're going to tell us what the issue is, and if you give them time to give you that, and you fully listen to them, and you acknowledge that they said what they said, and you come back with something that goes along with what they said, you apply logic to something that they said, more than likely they will set the appointment for you. And another thing that was good about that was I started to learn, which was said to us, but I had to see it for myself, that again, people are giving you what their issue is, but what the people who actually signed up were usually the ones that were giving us the most rebuttals. The people who actually bought the product and all that were usually people who asked you a whole bunch of questions, but they were asking buying questions. But if you're nervous and they're giving you some kind of kickback, or they're telling you, no, you're not going to have such and such come down here. In some cases, they even said, if the agent come down here, I will shoot him, this, that, and the third. We used to get scared. But then you turn around and you give the paper these names on it that you called today. You give it to this person next to you. They turn around and get 5 appointments off that same paper, talking to the same people you talked to. So, to round that all up, that goes along with a wise man is quick to listen and slow to speak. Let me tell you something. One of the best ways to get something out of life that you truly want is to not only go for it, but whoever you have to get it from, if you tell them that you want to get this and they give you objections and they still are sitting there waiting, having this conversation with you, as opposed to hanging up, walking away, cursing you out, walking away, but somehow ending the conversation, then you're not saying something that you need to say. Alright? So, to wrap this up, those 2 things were the things that I pulled out of that book that just made me get really, really, really driven on being an entrepreneur. That's pretty much what I'm saying. If you're someone that's looking to be an entrepreneur, don't give up. Is basically what this book is saying. And if you have the opportunity, get that book by Jay Prince, or Respect. There's more to the title, but respect is the biggest word you see on there. Go ahead and check that book out. Other than that, happy Monday, you suckers. Thank you for participating and listening to Motivation Monday. Later.
Architect. I am architect.